So good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you all for being here. So the title of my talk this morning is Add Sriracha. Now does everyone know what Sriracha is?
Oh,
Of course, it's a bug. It's a what?
A bug.
A bug?
She's
It's
being
the
a smart
capital
aleck.
of Lebanon.
That's my favorite spice.
Okay, it's probably all of that, but the one that I'm talking about is the chili paste.
Yeah.
Okay, the good stuff. Okay, because it's delicious. It's really delicious to me. You put it on anything and it spices it up.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what we are going to do today. We're going to spice up our lives. Okay, and the way we're going to do that is by talking about what it does. Now, everyone knows what the it is, right? Does everyone know when we say what it does? Because we've been talking a lot about the it. Does anyone not know what it is?
God?
Yes. The universe, that supreme source, the it, what it does. Now, we get these topics, these titles, because typically in January, Science of Mind churches all over the world talk about the first 4 chapters in the Science of Mind textbook in Reverend Vaughn. This textbook here. Okay? So, we're talking about what it does. Okay. And so what I want to talk about are 3 points. So, we're going to leave with 3 points, and there are going to be a lot of little sub-points within the 3 points, okay? But the 3 points being, there's a power in the universe, and it's here for us to use. Okay, the second point being that what is my second point? Okay. The second point is to be specific, and we'll go back and talk about this. And the third point is operating from the faith of God and the faith in our word. Okay, so when we talk about what it does is it works through us as us. Okay? So, question for you, a couple questions. Do we all agree that there is a power for good in the universe?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yay. Do we all agree that it works through us, as us? Okay. So then, why is it that we are not manifesting everything that we're choosing to have? That's the question, right? Okay. The answer is it will only work to the degree that we allow it to work. Okay? So we're talking about consciousness here. It's like, what will we allow for us to have in our lives? What good will we allow to manifest in our lives? Now, the interesting piece about this, because when I was doing some research about this, I found that there is this thing that we have called our mind. Okay? Everyone has one. And that the mind wants things that are familiar. It rejects things that are unfamiliar. Okay? So the mind wants things that are familiar. Now, a perfect example of this is little children, babies. If you've noticed that babies like the same food. They like listening to the same song over and over again. For those of you who are parents, is that true?
Yeah.
Yes. Or have, nieces, nephews. They like watching the same movie over and over and over again.
Yes.
Okay? It's familiar. And they typically don't want their parents too far away from them because their parents are familiar. Okay? So the brain wants things that are familiar. It rejects things that are unfamiliar. So last week, Reverend Vaughn talked about the flipping the switch and talked about how, things are flowing. And so, if we're in the flow, which we always are, what happens? Where are those blocks? We have those blocks because we are operating from what is familiar, and perhaps the thing that we are desiring is unfamiliar. Okay? The good thing is that we can make anything unfamiliar, familiar, and vice versa. Anything that we have in our life that we was like, ooh, really would like to do something different, so that's familiar, we can make it unfamiliar. Example in my life. Everyone knows that I'm in fashion. Yes? Anyone not know? Okay. So, when I was in school, there was a class that we had to take, and it was called marking and grading. I'm going to talk about the grading piece of that. So the grading, what grading is typically you'll have a sample size. And for women, let's say it's a size 8. So you create this pattern in the size 8. And instead of creating patterns for all the other sizes, you grade the pattern up and you grade it down. So you make it larger or you make it smaller. It's very mathematical. A lot of people think design is just this creative kind of industry, but there's a lot of math, there's a lot of other stuff that's involved in it. And so I'm in this class, taking this grading class, and it was very difficult. It was hard. And I spent probably more hours on my homework than I needed to do. However, as I was doing this, I kept saying to myself, I'm going to get this. I am going to get this. And that became my mantra as I'm doing my homework. So one day, I'm in my loft space, at my table, doing my homework. It's like, oh, okay, I'm going to get this. And then what happened? It was just as if someone flipped the switch. I got it. And it now became something fun. It became something that I enjoyed doing. And in fact, my instructor said to me, you are a beautiful grader. So I took something that was unfamiliar and made it familiar. And so repetition is what allows us to kind of flip that switch. So examples of this, of making something familiar, unfamiliar, or unfamiliar, familiar. Has anybody ever made a New Year's resolution or just kind of decided that they're going to exercise or go to the gym? No. Okay. And you go for a little while, and then you stop. Anyone done that? I'm like the big... I stopped probably like a year and a half ago, and I've been like 7 times since. Gyms really bank on that. They oversell memberships because they know that at least 25% of the people are not going to come.
Or more.
Right.
I would say more, yeah.
Right. 25% was a statistic I found, but I felt like it was more as well. Okay, so...
They're underselling, they're overselling.
Yes. So there's that piece, and what's happening here, so people really want to get into shape. I really believe that. But it's not familiar going to the gym every day or however many times you say that you're going to go. It becomes familiar when you keep going. So when I talk about the repetition, you keep going. Before I stopped going to the gym, I was actually going and working out. I was doing bar method. I was going 5 days a week. And I did that for like a year and a half. It wasn't familiar when I first started because I'd get up at 5:30 in the morning so I could get to a 6 o'clock class. So I could go before work because I knew that if I didn't do it in the morning, it wasn't going to happen. Okay? So I made it familiar. Now, how I made it unfamiliar is my sciatic pain started happening, and so I had to stop, and then that got real familiar. The stopping piece. It was really nice to sleep in. Oh, it's 5:30 in the morning. I don't have to get up because, I don't feel well. So that became my familiar. So we can flip the switch at any time we choose to. We can make the unfamiliar familiar and the familiar unfamiliar. So those things that we don't like in our lives, perhaps, is anybody a procrastinator in here other than me? Would anyone like to make that an unfamiliar experience?
I don't know, sometimes.
Maybe later.
Maybe later. So we can do this, but we have to practice. Okay? So what I want us to do, I gave everyone a piece of paper. And so now is the time that we're going to use this paper. So on one side of the paper, we are going to write down something that is unfamiliar. Oh, it doesn't. I'll get you another pen. Let me explain this. Something that's unfamiliar that we would like to make familiar. So for instance, exercise. Maybe we want to make that familiar. Believing in oneself. That's always a good one. Want to make that familiar. Perhaps it's promoting our business or our art. Maybe we want to make that familiar. So let's write one thing, just one. You can write more, but I'm only asking that you write one. Does anybody else need a pen? You need a pen? Okay. So does everyone understand what I'm asking? Okay. Anyone need more time?
Yes.
Okay. Doesn't have to be long. We good, Charlie?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, so we have our one thing. I would like for us to now convert that into an affirmation.
On the other side of the page.
No, on the same side. Okay, on the same side, converting that into an affirmation. And so, for instance, if it is believing in myself, the affirmation could be, I believe in me. Okay. If it's going to the gym, maybe it's like, I have perfect health. I move my body. Okay, we're good? Okay, flip the paper over. So on this side, we are going to write down something that is familiar in our lives that we would like to make unfamiliar. So for instance, it might be the procrastination piece, okay, which would probably be mine. It could be eating sugar. Which would be another one of mine. Bless you. So just write one down, something that is familiar in your life that you would like to make unfamiliar. Okay, so did everyone have one? So now I want you to think of what the opposite of that would be. So we're putting it in affirmative terms. So if mine was eating sugar, so the opposite of that would be healthy diet, perhaps. And so now what I'd like you to do is to make that opposite an affirmation. So I would probably say, I have a healthy diet. I eat healthily every day. So create an affirmation. Okay, so everyone now should have two affirmations, yes? Mm-hmm. One for making something that's unfamiliar familiar, and then one that's making something familiar unfamiliar. Okay? Now, what I want you to do is we're going to use these affirmations every day, all day. Here's the reason. We know that repetition is going to shift, right? And so we want to flip that switch. There's been research that has been done that has shown that, and there's different schools of thought, that in 10 days you can change your behavior. Then there's some that believe in 21 days you can change, and that's the one I've heard. But then there are those that believe that it takes 30 days. So we all have 10 days, we all have 21 days, we all have 30 days, as far as I know. And so let's go with the 30-day piece. So we're going to do this for at least 30 days. Okay? We're going to wake up with our affirmation, excited about it. Because what we know is thought plus emotion creates a belief, right? So now we have a thought that I eat healthy, and I'm going to say it with such emotion and be excited about it, and it's like I'm excited to eat healthy. It's a lot different because what happens is you're training your body. Your mind is going, ooh, she's excited about eating healthy. She's excited about going to the gym. And so now it's going to make that familiar. So is everyone on board with me? Is everyone committed? Okay. Yay! So we are going to have shifts. Everyone's going to have shifts here. Because as we learned in the song and in Reverend Vaughn's reading and also in his meditation, if we believe, it's done. Because it happens according to the level of our belief, according to how we allow it to happen. Okay? So the second point is we need to be clear about our good. We need to be specific about it. Now, being specific and outlining are two different things. Okay? We've heard we don't want to outline. So what being specific would be, yes, I would like a brand new orange 2017 convertible Mini Cooper. That's being real specific, okay? Very specific. As opposed to saying, I'd like a car. Because what will happen sometimes, because I really feel like the universe has jokes, has a sense of humor, is, I might end up, I'll get a car, it'll be new to me, but it might be some hoopty. not necessarily something that I want. Okay, so being specific. Outlining is talking about how it comes to you. Okay, and saying that I will only allow it this way. It's like we've all heard that story about the person, you know, in the flood and they're on the roof and God sends a helicopter and the rowboat and all that. We've all heard that? Anyone not heard it? Okay. And he's like, you know, God, why have you forsaken me? It's like, God's like, I sent you a boat, I sent you a helicopter, and yet you still. Okay? So outlining, this person had a specific way in which this good was going to come. I have another little story, and I really like this one. This one makes me chuckle. So there's this couple, and they are celebrating their 40th wedding anniversary and their 60th birthday. They both happen to have the same birthday. Okay? And this fairy comes along and decides to grant them each a wish because she feels that, oh, they are such a loving couple. And so she asked the wife, what is it that you would like? And the wife says, oh, you know, I just love my husband and I love our relationship. So I would love for us to have a romantic vacation. And the fairy says, okay. And she says, poof. And they are now on the Riviera, enjoying themselves, having this lovely time. And so she looks at the husband and she says, what is it that you would like? And he's like, well, you know, I would like to be with a woman that's 30 years younger. Oh. And the fairy says, okay, poof, you are now 90 years old.
Oh. Good for that fairy.
So you can see being specific has a place, okay? I'm sure he thought I would love to have this hot little 30-year-old, but the fairy had other plans. So we want to be specific. The last point I want to make is to operate from the faith of God and the faith in the power of our word. Now, I'm saying the faith of God and not the faith in God. There is a difference. Faith in God is having this outside entity, this old man in heaven, and we now have to pray and beseech. Oh, please, please, please make this happen. Faith of God is knowing that God is within us and operating through us as us. So that's how we operate. We also have to operate knowing that we are the power and we have the power. Okay? So you can't be wishy-washy. We already talked about being specific, but you have to stand in your word. Because we talk about, I speak my word when we do our prayer, our affirmative prayer. So, and we talk about speaking it from a power and from authority, and we talk about it in present terms. Because it's already here. Now, when we are wishy-washy, it's not from a place of authority. It's not from a place of power. It's probably from a place of fear. And so we can't speak a prayer and then wonder if it's going to happen. It's like, and you've heard this before, it's like planting the seed and then digging it up to make sure it's growing. Okay? What does that do but kill the seed? And so that's what we do when we question or doubt or worry about whatever it is that we've prayed about. Now, I also want to say that every word that we speak is a prayer. Okay? Not some of them. Every word we speak. Now, those that we actually see manifest are those that we put emotion behind and that we repeat, correct? So we really want to pay attention to what it is that we're saying. It's interesting because the stuff that goes on in our head, a lot of times we're not even aware. I remember this is when I was going to the gym. I was in this class and oh my goodness, this instructor was just really, she was really doing it. And I remembered I kept saying, oh, I can't do this. I can't do this. Oh my God, this is so hard. I can't do this. Oh, whoa, whoa. And I finally realized what I was saying to myself, but at this point it was a little too late because all of a sudden my body just said, okay. And I actually stopped working out. I just stopped in the class because I couldn't go anymore. Okay, so there's power in what we're saying, and so we want to pay attention. Okay, so we have our recipe. We have our, our Sriracha. We're adding our Sriracha. Okay, we're remembering that there's a power in the universe and that we can use it, and we're going to allow ourselves to use it. So we're going to believe shifting the energy. Okay? We are going to be specific. Okay? And that we're going to stand in faith, the faith of God and the faith in the power of our word. Okay? So I'm going to leave you with this quote by Mykal. Everyone know Mykal? Okay? So here's the quote. If you believe more in what you don't see than what you do see, then what you do see, you don't see. And what you don't see, you do see. Anybody need me to repeat that?
Sure, it's fun.
Okay. If you believe in what you don't see. Oh, let me start over again. Okay, if you believe in what you don't see, then you don't see what you do see, and you do see what you don't see. Okay? Good? Thank you, and so it is.
So it is.